Up until now, as we've been creating our RoboHelp projects and generating output, we focused on a couple of different layouts, including HTML as well as web help. Now we're going to shift our focus to maybe the most popular type of output, and that is FlashHelp. And very much like web help, FlashHelp will also work on almost virtually any browser that's out there and on any computer. So it is cross-browser and cross-platform. The difference with Flash, of course, is that it's going to allow you to create a more visually stunning help system through the Flash functionality. So you're going to see a much more graphical user interface. You'll see animations when you go to use certain things like the index, the table of contents, and so on. Also, you'll have the ability, if you so choose, to create your project in a vertical orientation. That is, to have the navigation going across the top of your screen with content down below, as opposed to a navigation pane down the left-hand side. And the one thing that users of your help system will need to have is an Adobe Flash Player, version 6 or later, as well as a web browser. And just so you know, most new computers these days come with a more recent version of Adobe Flash Player, and almost every single one of those computers will have some type of browser installed as well. So let's switch over now to RoboHelp to see what a FlashHelp project looks like. We'll continue working with our How to Use LDC Flash project that we've been working with throughout many of the previous chapters. Just notice up at the top on the title bar, I've gone to the exercise files and opened up How to Use LDC with Flash on the end. Now, so far, it's really no different than the projects we've been working on previously. Notice in the single source layouts pod, we're still using web help here as the primary layout. But if we want to focus on creating FlashHelp output, we can change the primary layout by just simply going a little further down the list to FlashHelp, right-clicking, and choosing Set as Primary Layout. Now we'll be focused around creating projects designed for FlashHelp. So that's step one. Let's see what it looks like to generate this now by double-clicking FlashHelp. Here we're going to see the FlashHelp options screen. Now we can simply save and generate, but one change we might want to make is what we see on the title bar after we generate this. The title of our project is How to Use LDC Flash, and that's okay. That appears automatically in the title bar, but we can change that. Let's just have it say How to Use lynda.com. There we go. So that's what our users will see, even though our project name will stay the same. There are a number of options down below. You can see where it's going to go, for example. You can see the skin that's going to be used by default. We'll talk about that later on. Right now, we'll keep the default beautiful Vista Flash. And you can see there's a table of contents, index, glossary, etc. Some compliancy type options. Let's just click Save and Generate. And when we can, we'll click View Results to see what this looks like in our default browser. So we'll click View Result, opens our default browser. Now you might see what I'm seeing, and that is a warning, kind of a message across the top saying that my system's being protected here for my security, and certain things are not running, scripts and ActiveX controls. But just click that message and then click Allow Blocked Content, and when you click Yes, you'll see the actual Flash output. And it is much more graphical in nature, so we have some nice colors. You can see over here on the left-hand side, we have our TOC books that can be expanded and collapsed, and there's a bit of animation when we do that, a nice little flow. As you hover over the various buttons across the top, notice there's some animation there as well. Glossary, there's the print option there. And there's also some navigation going across the top, so we see links, and right now we're looking at the welcome topic. And we can go to Home by clicking Home at any time. Go to Getting Started, and as we move around through the various topics here, you can see how that changes across the top of our screen. So we really could just close up the navigation pane to create a little more space in our width and use this navigation system across the top. Let's go back to Contents though. We'll click that, leave it open, and that's an example of a very simple FlashHelp output. So we'll close up our browser to return to our RoboHelp project. Now that you have an idea of what FlashHelp looks like, it's time to take it to another level.